like 3 minutes, and then drop.
It started at 7:45 and it didn't stop until 1:30.
Yep. All right, 7 o'clock, I'll call the meeting to order. Let me stand on allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Jackie, you have a roll. Everybody's here. Item C, adoption of the agenda. We have a couple of edits to make. So Mr. Jort's superintendent evaluation, item L, we're going to take that off for this month. So the adjournment will move to letter L. And then I think we should add under superintendent reports, add item E, an update on that evaluation process and what that looks like schedule-wise moving forward. Are there any other changes?
Under the new business for the hiring recommendations, which would be 7B or
B.
7B2, assistant high school volleyball coach. Sarah DeVries is the recommendation.
Okay, anything else?
That's all I got.
Right. Get a motion to adopt the agenda with those changes? Second. A motion and second to adopt the agenda with the changes discussed. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item D, public input on non-agenda items. Is there anyone signed up to speak? Doesn't look like it. Okay, move on to item E, approval of minutes of past meetings. All 4 pages. Otherwise, when you're ready, I'll entertain a motion to approve those.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the past meeting.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the minutes of the past meetings. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Move on to item F, approval of financial items. Jackie, over to you.
The first one is the school business official report. We'll go with the second attachment. As you can see there, audit update from Larry Siegel. I have not heard back from her as of today, so we're still in a holding pattern. It does appear that they are needing to possibly have it ready by June 30th, according to that email. I'm just kind of reading between the lines, so hopefully I'll have something here in the next couple weeks, and then hopefully get on their schedule for the end of this fiscal year. Fund 64, wanted to give you just a heads up that is our negative balance, the $103,421.41. As of right now, I just added $816 worth of items here this last week or so that's come in a little bit late on the credit card. So I'll monitor that till June 30th, and then I'll have to make a fund transfer because it can't enter or it can't end the fiscal year as a negative. So it'll be a 1-day loan basically from Probably Save is what I'm going to do. So just sort of your heads up on that, and I'll report back on that in July. Financial report. I think last meeting Carrie had asked for casino funds, so I just put the summary together. Mr. Jorth has attended the casino meeting and gave them updates on what we've been spending our dollars on. We do have a pretty significant balance yet, but we're utilizing those funds for some school supplies. We have backpack program in the past, or in fruit and veggie backpack program all the time, after prom, after grad, some curriculum and textbooks, and then in the past, one-to-one laptop initiative. So we can always utilize those funds for those again. That's just more of an FYI. Annual treasurer's report. As you can see down in the expenditures, there's an $808,000 difference that we have increased expenditures. I want you to understand that that is just for that month. Not everything is up to date. And the difference that I could find that is pretty substantial is last year I didn't make a flow-through entry for AEA flow-through, which is a required entry from the state until June. So that's a $378,000 difference. So then we're back down into that $400,000 range, and that's right where I predict that we will end with increases in costs and salaries and everything else. So our expenditures will be up, but our revenues are up as well. The next report, activities report, I don't really have anything to report there. As you can see, student construction, it was updated in my other report because it was through what I paid in June. This is just for May. The split fund, we talked about in the last meeting, we'll be taking some dollars from there to fund the HSAs starting in July. And my first funding is $182,000, I think is what the first funding will be in the July payroll. From the employer side, I haven't added up what all the employees are funding on their own yet, but special revenue fund, this is your report for your management, PEPAL, Pearl, Save, and debt service. Numbers are before you there. I think we'll have a quote or a bill even for EMC renewal here in the next month. So that'll come out of management. And we have sufficient funds in there, so that shouldn't be an issue. And then on to summary list of bills. I don't really have any huge highlights to talk about unless there's any specific questions. I did put a list of July 2023 prepaids that I will send off right on July 1st, just for your review. A lot of those things we get a discount if we pay right at the first, sort of with our annual renewals. IASB, ISFIS, RSA, and structure. Those are just kind of those annual renewals that happen all the time. But otherwise, there's a larger list for June and then some additional bills. Kind of forgot about Juneteenth today, so I was expecting to give you a little bit larger listing this afternoon, and there was no mail, so. Any questions, please let me know.
Couple of things. When's the check due from the Holfers for the?
They've already paid.
That is in the activities report, the revenues.
The
10,000.
So far.
They just paid a down payment.
right, the full.
So upon completion,
Okay.
so
Probably
essentially-
in the next year.
yeah, moving date of the house can't be moved until we've been paid in full.
So, Emery, of the, are they paying for the additional items as they go?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So dependent upon the supplies, I'm gonna report about it here once we get to it.
Okay.
They are gonna purchase the bulk of it, but Grant is willing to use our local lumberyard, and whatever our expenses are, then essentially it would be added to their final all-in check at the end.
The other thing that I would note for the rest of the board is just take note of the final balance on the hot lunch fund. $494,265.20, just for our discussions later on under new business, but setting the lunch fees. That's all I had. Any other questions for Jackie? I'll entertain a motion to approve those items when you're ready.
Make a motion to approve the financial items as listed.
One second.
A motion and second to approve the financial items as listed. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to item G, administrative reports and discussion items. First one up is recognition and congratulations to student, staff, and community. Mr. Jorth.
Yeah, two items there for the board and the community. First is the Carrie Chapman Cat Award. really to our senior class. More than 90% of our senior class members that were eligible to register, indeed registered, and will be able to vote in any election, special or general, here as we approach November. I think we were the 10th highest in the entire state. So we're gonna get if you remember last year, we got a trophy, so we'll get another trophy like that. Recognition for Mr. Docker's work. And then as you can see there, the Beta Sigma Phi Z donated to the backpack program. So we'll thank them for that donation as well. Anything else to add, Mr. Harmon, Mr. Engelmann?
Okay, move on to principal reports. First one up is Mr. Harmon.
Wanted to end the year and just give you, again, the most updated list again for the class from preschool through sixth grade as they all fall in. We have had new families contact us, and some of even fill out registration papers that have moved the area. Some are waiting to see getting house, those types of things, but I wanted you to have that list of where things are. There is one section that is probably closer being analyzed, and that's for first grade. It is a class of 63 kids. And that is something that Mr. Jordan and I both have met with the first grade teachers already. Kind of gave them a focus of what we're thinking in the future if things keep going or expanding. It fell in right where we figured it would, right in that 60 to 63 range. Is what we were predicting back in March, if you remember that date. So we want to have enough resources there in case we have to make some judgment calls as people come in. So Ron is our contact person, my secretary, and if she has more families move in with first grade, then we can meet and make decisions pending that. So, yeah, that's the one anomaly that we have. Otherwise, everything really is.
How about fifth grade, like 2 sections?
Yes.
I mean, how's,
So with that smaller number of 40 kids, it really doesn't make sense with our schedule to put them in 3 really, really small sections. And so Mr. Arnold is actually helping us with our computer science initiative next year, helping move it down into 4th and 3rd grade to fill up kind of those periods with him. And then we're working on some intervention time that we haven't really been able to build in the schedule with the 5th and 6th grade teachers. So there will be a writing, a math, and a reading intervention happening at least 2 to 3 days a week, if not 4 days. So it's a 2-year anomaly, and then they'll be moved on. Whenever there's a hope or glimmer that class gets 3 or 4 kids, and a couple kids move on. So it's just amazing. But yeah, so there's a 40 there.
Similarly, Mr. Poletsky will push down, and like he's done in the past, Augustine.
okay,
So that 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade upper elementary will have essentially 2 additional specials that they haven't had, simply because we have the flexibility with the teaching staff. I know we talked about that 3-4 years ago. Much easier to absorb attrition in the elementary when we can go from 3 sections to 2 sections. By the time we get to 5th grade and on up, it's not as easy because those teachers are certified in a content area. And so it's more challenging to go from 3 sections to 2 sections. And that's where we got to get creative and do some different things than we've done previously.
Oh, and I should also just do some couple things just to highlight. We started our summer reading initiatives with ELL and also the library program. Last week, we started with 4 days of our reading program. We averaged 60 students every day, which is huge, really good. We did kind of work out a deal with Barnes & Noble that at the end of the term or at the end of the month, we'll be taking the kids that want to go down to Barnes & Noble to see what an actual bookstore looked like, and kind of worked out a deal with them, which is kind of cool. We've never done that before, but kids are really excited. Our EL program right now, we have 12 individuals attending every single day. We do go pick those students up just to make sure that they attend, because parents are usually not at home with them. So they go from 9 o'clock until 11:30 every single day, 5 days a week, and they'll continue that through the month of June. So good attendance numbers so far in those two programs.
Any more questions for Mr. Harmon? Thanks, Steve. Mr. Engelmann, turn it over to you.
Here at the end of the year, we were made aware that we did receive a grant that we applied for in the spring. It's a service learning grant. It's quite the mouthful, so I'll abbreviate it a little bit. The 2023 BGF ARP Youth Service Learning Grant. So it's in the amount of, it's a fixed price grant in the amount of $15,000 that we need to split up to a minimum of 3 classes or 3 programs. We kind of hand selected a few that we thought would fit this. Sarah's CAPS program, which Sarah DeVries was one of our grant writers, along with myself, Mr. George, Jessica Harmon, and Jordan Manning from the AAA. The Kindness Squad, which you've seen a lot of publication over the years, the different activities that they do on the elementary, and then our service learning course that we offer in May term each year. So those are the 3 that we kind of hand selected. It doesn't mean that we're handcuffed to those necessarily, but we do have funds now available to kind of go above and beyond. During the grant writing process, we did reach out to Angie Jager and Micah Freeze and those down in the community and those in surrounding communities to see what is needed. So we're looking to do some more partnering with different community vendors, and whether it's planting flowers or ditch pickup or something. We want to get the kids out in the community to just kind of see what that responsibility looks like. And now we'll have the funds to do so. So each of those programs will get at a minimum $5,000 towards projects or equipment that they need. So it's minimal work from here on out for us. It's just submitting a budget. Kind of gives us some freedom to do what we want. And we were one of 5 districts selected of those that applied. So they were very, in my conversations with the selection committee there, they were very impressed with what we put out, and they thought the 3 things that we had chosen were some of the better ideas that were presented to them. So pretty excited about that. Quite a few training sessions though. There's about 8 training sessions we got to attend this year. But we start one tomorrow. It's about an hour, but it should be good stuff. So a lot of networking.
Do you all have to do that?
No, myself and Mr. George, they're going to be there tomorrow. We're going to try to, with one of these programs, try to select maybe someone to kind of take the reins of it and be kind of the coordinator. And just, yeah, like I said, be a networking person, someone that can just be the go-between between us and the community, or us and this grant service.
So we use those grant funds to help, compensate that person for their time to travel to and from the trainings, any of the subs that go along with days that they have to be out of the classroom. But again, I think like Jason's talking about here, it's the networking and that person that does go to the trainings, stealing the good ideas that other people are doing, us sharing what we're doing, and then thinking about how we can grow service learning at all levels, elementary, middle school, and high school.
Very good. Any questions for Jason? Thanks, Jason. All right, we'll move on to item 3, superintendent report. Mr. George.
Yeah, so I got 5 things here to kind of review with you. First is professional learning communities, institutes. You probably saw on the agenda our teacher leader positions, revised teacher leader positions. We had intended to train all of our teacher leaders 4 years ago, but COVID derailed that. And so over the course of the last 4 years, we've really kind of just maintained our teacher leadership program. But as you know, we're expanding that this year. So we're going to have more than 20 staff members trained in how to lead their grade level, grade span teams or their content teams. Mr. Wright is one of those people that's been on the teacher leadership since its inception. But we're adding some new faces and maybe a more diverse group of people to represent all portions of the building. So we're going to get those people trained. You can see this next week, there's a group of elementary staff that are going to go to Minneapolis. We got 16 staff members going to Wisconsin in July. And then another group, once school's back in session in October, will go to Des Moines. And then our final 2 teachers will head to Kansas City after Thanksgiving. And And then again, over time, we want to expand beyond just our teacher leaders. We'll include all of our staff, hopefully over the course of the next 3 to 5 years. So as new staff are hired, as people begin to maybe transfer positions, we want to make sure it's not just the teacher leaders that are trained in this, but that's what we're going to start with. Should be a good conference, but like I said, the focus is leading their peers on Wednesday afternoons when we have those early dismissals. So that's kind of the focus. And it's nice that we got such a big group going to Madison in July. We'll do a lot of our planning for the entire school year with that core group of teacher leaders when it comes to professional learning to start the school year in October, and then, like I said before, on Wednesday afternoons. So that's the first one.
So this is the same training, just.
In different places. Yep. Maybe some different speakers,
Mhm.
but the same basic content. And each one will have different breakout sessions, but the keynotes are all the same. And we will be attending like the beginners track teacher collaboration. So that core, how to lead your peers in that professional learning community's strategies will be our focus. For folks that have been to those conferences before, they've got other that focus how do you use data, how do you design interventions, how do you design enrichment and stuff like that. But the tracks that we'll focus on is the teacher collaboration tracks. Grant Engel and I met with the Hofer family to bring our MOU, and then we did receive their down payment. And like Andy had asked, they are going to purchase the supplies from this point forward. And any of the supplies that maybe locally that need to be purchased, the school may purchase those, but primarily their plan is to purchase and then just give to Grant and the kids to utilize. We spent a lot of time talking about the cabinetry and the woodwork. They have a cabinet maker that they want to work with that Grant's already connected with, to get measurements and begin that process. So the kids will work with that individual to help install, but they'll be constructed by somebody else. So the plan is, the timeline will work through the entire next school year, but by August 15th of 2024, the house will be moved, if not sooner, so that then we can begin construction on a different house at that point in the future. So that's kind of the update. I did not attach the MOU, but I will send that to everybody so you can see that and review that if you got any questions going forward. Really good conversation, great opportunity for our kids to continue to work on the house and also work with other subcontractors and kind of see how that process works. Not only working with a client, but also other contractors. The bus barn and FFA farm plot, there's an updated kind of timeline or schedule, but I did meet with Tim Wellman and Micah Freeze. If you were to drive out to the FFA farm, they've restaked that, so you can kind of see out there what that would look like at the north end of the hairpin if you're curious. The soil study's been completed. Matt Basie and his team at FEH are working on the study, and the Buildings and Grounds Committee will meet here at the end of June on the 29th to kind of review the results of that study. But preliminary results based upon the soils test is there are not a lot of barriers or issues with the property itself out at the FFA plot. Again, Matt and his team are putting together the estimates for all the water, electric, sewer, so on and so forth out there. So we'll have, I don't have any further update from Matt. We'll receive that on the 29th. And then you can see kind of the proposed timeline there. We'll have a redesign, kind of the new study presented at our next July meeting. So the second Monday in July is the 10th. If we choose a different date, I'll just relay that date to Matt and his team. But our hope is by November, all the construction documents, whether we're moving forward with the FFA farm property or we're moving forward with our current bus barn property, we'll have everything prepared for a November approval for the board, and then out to bid by December. So we'll start spring of 2024. Policy, as you know, the legislative session, there was many changes that will impact schools. So the School Board Association is beginning to work through those updates. As you can see, there's a lot of policy changes. There's none for us to consider tonight. I forwarded this primer up onto the policy committee, so we'll be getting together. There's actually a webinar here this week with ISB kind of reviewing all this that I'm going to sit through. And then once I've been able to do that, just know that there's a lot of policies impacted due to the legislative session.
There's probably a good portion of those that'll need to be in place really before the start of the school year, right?
Yep.
Technically, those new laws are going to go into effect July.
Some will go into effect July 1, some will go into effect January 1.
Okay.
So some went into effect immediately upon the signature from the governor.
But that's going to be no small task.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. I was just at a meeting today in Des Moines, and the Department of Ed's legal counsel noted that the Department of Ed will not be providing guidance on some of the most controversial items. They said, contact your own legal counsel for how you want to implement those policies. And so that's why we're members of the School Board Association. We start with their recommendations, and then if we want to personalize them any further than what the School Board Association, that's when we get our legal counsel involved. But the department itself will not be providing a lot of guidance when you're talking about issues around library books and age appropriateness of curriculum materials. They're just going to refer us to our own legal counsel. So that's why, like Andy's alluding to, some of this is time sensitive, but it's not necessarily an easy process. So there's going to be a lot of work here in July and the first part of our August. So we have policies for recommendation and review before the school year starts. And then E, which we added, evaluation process. I apologize. My plan was to have that to you this weekend. I was traveling a lot last week. I opened a file that I should not have opened. And my computer, I was kind of locked out of my computer from Thursday onward. So I plan to spend some time with that on Thursday and Friday. When I got back in the building, I just grabbed another computer from Curtis in the office this afternoon. So my plan will be, if the board wants to have a special session between now and July 10th, I'm happy to find a date to do that. Otherwise, we can add it to the July agenda and do it at that point, and kind of bringing back that information first to the personnel committee, and maybe having a personnel committee meeting just to kind of review that, because we had talked what that process would look like going forward. And then these guys kind of collecting your guys' feedback collectively as a board once I've prepared and provided those documents, those reflection documents, and kind of the goals for next school year.
So that would probably lend itself to completing your review at the July meeting, if you're gonna have a personnel committee meeting.
That would be my recommendation, instead of us trying to find another date between now and the 10th, with people probably got their summer schedules planned around the 4th. We're a week later with this meeting, so we've only got 3 weeks between now and the 10th anyways.
Dave and Amy, thoughts?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about the timing of that. So the first week of July, with the 4th being on Tuesday, may not lend itself very well to giving us much time that week. So maybe we need to do that the last week of June.
For committee meeting or staff. Yep.
Which is like next week, right?
Yes. Believe it or not, yeah.
Do we delay the July meeting?
Mine July is a little bit questionable with a few different things that I can't think. Hopefully, whenever the school board meeting will work, but I have a couple questionable things that are occurring right now that I can't give a date to, but
Yep.
will be a little bit of a priority for me.
Yeah, if you take out realistically the 2 days on the 4th, I know my place of business, we have a floating holiday on that Monday, so we'll be off Monday, Tuesday, and then you have Dead Week. We're really not left with a whole lot of options.
And like I've already reported, we're going to Madison as a team the 11th, 12th, and 13th of July. So if we don't do our meeting on the 10th, we're looking at a different date. I don't know if the 17th works for folks. It's the third Monday in July. Otherwise, like Andy said, the following Monday is Dead Week already in July. So
Thoughts on that? We keep it at the 10th for now?
Yeah, next week does not work well for me to meet. I have baseball at 4 nights next week. So I'm just thinking if we meet ahead of time. Next week doesn't work well for me.
Okay.
Monday
So-
through Thursday is baseball games. But then they're done after Thursday, so I mean,
So maybe Brent, you can follow up with Dave and Amy after the meeting.
Okay.
Try and nail something down with those two, whether that's early morning, after school.
would you like to keep the meeting on the 10th?
Yeah, that's a question I have. Is that stand a better chance in your schedule for now?
I really don't have any idea.
Yeah, okay. About everybody else?
It was just a yes, when I came up today, kind of.
17th might not work very well.
We can, we can find a time to meet before that, I'm sure. Whether it's a morning, we
Yeah.
can do.
So keep it at the 10th for now, and something comes out of left field, then.
the three of
So
us
it's
can
the
just-
17th, it's fair week,
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
Okay, we'll keep it at the 10th for now. Okay,
Very good.
let's move on to item 4, board committees.
Jackie's already reported on the, kind of the finance. Oh, I've already skipped the buildings and grounds, I apologize, but buildings and grounds is meeting the 29th. Finance committee will probably meet before the July meeting with the auditor to kind of review the audit. Dave and Amy, you're gonna have a bunch of meetings here. Handful of days too. Yep. So we're all just gonna have to be in communication about our schedules.
Carrie and Scott are already here on the 29th.
29th.
Right?
Yep.
Okay.
But like I said, the policy committee, if we want to get 2 readings in before the start of the school year, that July meeting will be the first reading of those 30 policies that I gave you already. We're going to want to make sure that your guys' questions are answered. Again, I've got a webinar here on Thursday with the School Board Association, and I'm going to know more about those policies and be more informed to meet with you guys after that meeting. Maybe the only committee that won't meet between now and July is the sharing committee. Otherwise, all the other committees, we've got some work to do. Carrie, I don't know if you were able to go to the foundation meeting last week. If they officially approved their big project or not.
Was that last week? I did not go.
They're pretty religious about the second Tuesday.
I don't know. It's summer, right? And I can't even remember where I was Tuesday, but I did not go to that. And so I don't have any update on that.
That's okay. I'll follow up with Jeff. Any other questions from the committees?
Okay. Move on to old business, item 8, tabled items, which is just the same bond terms. No new action on that. But we do have item 2, which is considered the second reading policy 200.04, board member social media engagement.
Again, this was the only new policy that came out of the third quarter primer update. Last month, we approved all the policies except for this one. Waived the second reading.
If there's no questions on that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the second reading of that policy.
I'd like a motion to approve the second reading.
Second. Motion and second to approve the second reading of new policy 200.04. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Moving on to item I, new business. Item 1, consider math curriculum purchases.
So elementary Imagine Learning quote is for $52,573.50. Secondary quote is $70,532.94. And roughly $122,000, $123,000. We will utilize our last portion of the ESSER funding to make those purchases, which is great. Our next curriculum purchase, social studies in 2 years, that'll be a general fund expenditure. Math and literacy are the 2 big dollar ones. If you remember when we ordered our science materials, it was half that amount. When we order our social studies materials, it'll probably be half that amount. So Mr. Wright's in the room. Our PD that we've done already is based upon these quotes. We really narrowed it down from what the original quote was, and we kind of cut back. Like the first original quote was right at $100,000, so we trimmed out about $30,000 from just the secondary quote, and did something similar with the elementary quote. Took about $15,000 out that elementary quote, and that's why it took us a little while to get there with that, but we really went with what we needed, and then the foundation most likely is going to help offset some of the costs of these as well.
How did you turn out budget-wise? I know you're trying, like you said, trying to whittle some of that down.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably, it was $30,000 over what we wanted to spend.
Okay.
But again, I think we're getting really good quality curriculum. The other big changes, these are 8-year purchases. We're on an 8-year cycle. In the past, a lot of these curriculum purchases have been 5 or 6 year purchases. Uh, So every 2 years, we're adopting core curriculum. And that's why this quote's maybe a little bit higher than what we've seen from other options. But this one in our science, we were able to use the ESSER funds, those stimulus dollars. That will not be the case going forward. It'll be general fund purchases.
Any questions for Mr. Jordan on that? Hanging out there for a while.
Yep.
Get it purchased. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve those. So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the math curriculum purchases as listed. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to item 2, consider equipment breakdown insurance contract for 23-24.
So again, equipment breakdown, because it is insurance, is a management fund purchase. This previous year's premium was $77,704. Our claims this year have been right around $80,000, so we've exceeded what our premium was. Hence the increased premium for this next school year. Ultimately, we are utilizing this the way it's intended to be utilized, and above and beyond what I would say the rest of the schools that are also using this. So the kind of the quote premium, we're doing a good job. That means Curtis, Steve Bresky, really, those are the 2 big areas, technology and our maintenance department are doing a great job with the paperwork. So while $20,000 is a significant increase, I would tell you that we're using the program as it's intended. Anything to add to that, Jackie? We have a couple webinars every year with the company to make sure that we're maximizing it, and we obviously are.
Good. Any questions? Entertain a motion to approve when you're ready.
So moved.
A motion and second to approve the equipment breakdown insurance for 23-24. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to item 3, consider milk and bread bids.
So Darsha has submitted the bids themselves below, as has kind of been the case the last 3 years. Casey's Bakery is the only bread bid that was returned. And then we received bids from Prairie Farms and Kemp's for our milk bids. It's her recommendation that we approve the Casey's Bakery bid for bread and Prairie Farms for milk.
As far as attachments go, I'm not seeing the milk bids. Anybody else seeing those? You don't have to add them to Cindy right now, Brent. Just pull them out too. That's easiest for you.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Your foreign computer.
Remember all my passwords here from memory. Yes. The Kemps. And then Prairie Farm. Are not showing up on here, or that I can see anyways. And the individual files.
They look good, Dave.
Yeah, Prairie Farms is,
Like a nickel cheaper, wasn't it?
yeah, I'm gonna say 10% less, something like that.
Well, I think we can
About
all take
somewhere in that,
Dave's word
Yeah.
for it.
agreed.
That's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Difference there, so
Are there any questions on those?
20% less.
Maybe, any idea what these prices compared to last year?
So June. Milk and bread bid. So Prairie Farms skim white milk, 22.59. What's it say on there for Prairie Farms for?
It says 2276.
Pretty similar.
So not the 25% increase that we saw last year
Yeah, the
for
one
milk.
percent is 2324.
So this
But it
was,
didn't come down.
didn't come down.
You have bread there too.
I think the bread ones are attached.
No, I think he meant like from last year's.
For last year.
Okay, so Casey's Bakery. The sandwich bread loaf was $2.99 last year. This year it is $2.79. No, 20 cents more. Hamburger buns, $4.39. So that hamburger buns are up 40 cents. Hot dog buns, pony buns here, $3.89, $4.39 for the hot dog buns. Steak buns, $4.79. So that was up $1.20. Like sub sandwiches is what? No,
No,
Oh,
Eight-
that's
18.
24. But that's for 2 dozen.
2 dozen and this is 1 dozen.
okay.
Yeah.
So that's,
Apologize for not getting that changed.
Any further discussion? Entertain a motion to approve milk and bread bids when you're ready.
I'll make a motion to approve both bids. Second?
A motion and second to approve the milk and bread bid as recommended. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item 4, consider fees for 23-24.
So as you can see, the recommendation is not to increase any of our textbook, activity, driver's ed fees, but to increase our substitute teacher pay from 130 to 140. And then Darcia's recommendation for the lunch prices and lunch and breakfast are included here. As Andy had pointed out, there's roughly a $500,000 balance in the nutrition fund. If the board would prefer not to increase and to leave everything flat in terms of our meal prices, down below in the details, I tried to break down the costs associated with breakfast and lunch. So as you can see there, we served for breakfast anyways, roughly 11,000 breakfasts. And are paid and reduced versus those that are free. The cost was roughly $7,300. And then,
So that's $7,300 in breakfast all year.
all year,
Preschool through 6.
no, K-12, preschool through 12.
So like on average, how many people have breakfast?
Each day,
Yeah,
less than 100.
through everybody.
Yep, for everybody.
Do they only serve that in the elementary?
Well,
They do serve it at this kitchen
Yep.
too? Okay. I didn't know if they had to go to the elementary for it.
Is this the first year we had charged again?
yes,
Because the past 2 years have been free through the federal funding.
yep. And what we saw this year compared to the two COVID years, breakfast, more so than lunch, went down for the number of kids participating. When we were in COVID, when there was no charge for breakfast, we probably fed about 125 to 150 kids each day, just depending upon what's being served. The lunch numbers stayed roughly the same all year long.
So in our agenda review meeting, Dave and I and Brent, last week, we had had a discussion. Mr. George had floated the idea of, well, why don't we consider just giving free breakfast for everybody, being that some kids, it's the most important meal for everybody in theory. But as far as, some of the kids not having access to that at home, Dave and I asked him to kind of look into the numbers to see where that would be at, considering that our hot lunch fund is at $500,000. And that's kind of what we came up with here. So the thought was that we could try it this year and just kind of monitor that fund, see where we're at. In reality, it's probably going to take a lot more than 1 year to really make a dent. Or we're going to notice it if it's only $7,300 a year.
But we had 420,000 in there a year ago, so it's up $80,000.
Yeah. Exactly.
What's the reasoning on the second entree or second meal being free?
We didn't just do second entree only this year.
Yep.
So if you went through the line, you got the full meal.
Mhm.
And that was Darcia's, again, recommendation last year is that serve
But it
the-
says on your notes, it says it's recommended the following fees be adjusted for this school year.
Yep.
Second entree, second meal free to all students.
Go up.
Yep, because we didn't offer. So why I think I think we can provide a second entree or even a second meal for free. So the seconds column, again, cost us about $20,000.
He's saying it isn't free now, but he's proposing it to be.
Right, that's why I was asking your reason, just because I feel like a lot of parents I know tell their kids they can only have seconds, like, I mean, I do that with my kids, you can have seconds one time a week, because otherwise they would have it every day. I just feel like that would be a lot larger if it becomes free for everyone, I mean, as long as we're fine with that.
Is there, I mean, if you can do it free, is that you don't have to charge the $3 or whatever?
Right now, it's $415, it'd be $485 next year because it goes to the cost of the,
Yeah, and the second entree at
Yeah,
3.
because it's not reimbursable, like, like our meals are the first time through for our reduced students.
But each meal doesn't cost $4.85.
Right.
So it'll just be a matter of what the actual.
I mean, I
becoming of it all.
probably fail to understand why it would, if you get it a second time, why it costs more than the first time.
Because it's not reimbursable.
It's not reimbursable.
kind of like why the adult meals cost
Correct.
more.
Yeah.
So like to provide a report to the state, we have to give them a number.
Okay.
So everybody that goes through and gets a second meal has to have a balance in their lunch account, even if you're on the free or reduced meal plan, where you have to pay cash. Again, let's say this increases fivefold, right?
Mhm.
And it's $100,000 of increased costs for second meals or second entree back through the line. We made roughly $80,000 profit this year. I think, again, we can monitor that fund as we go through the year, but I don't think our fund is going to be in jeopardy of going negative if we do it the entire year. I think it would be something for us to hopefully increase participation in lunch.
So what do you think drives most kids to get a second lunch to begin with? Is
That
it because the
served.
first portions are too small, or it's because they like?
Because they like what's being served.
I would say in the high school, it might be portion size for some of your,
For my oldest son, it's portion size, like he's 6th grade. I mean, he feels like he's still hungry after the first. But obviously, if it's a food he doesn't like, he's not gonna.
It's not going to eat it.
And I tell him he can only do it once a week, so.
because it costs $4.
Yeah, right, so I was like, you can't do it every day. He would do it every day.
We essentially have the same rules with our eighth.
Yeah. But I also feel like there would be a lot of waste if he's getting a second meal, because I know he's not gonna eat the other stuff, he's just gonna eat the.
So then that's when you're saying you can do just an entree.
Just an entree
Yeah.
versus the full
Whatever.
vegetables and fruit and,
Whatever the lunch, very few take the full meal. It's always just the entree.
Right, but they get charged the full meal because that's the only.
They have options. They try to put on the tray and they just say no.
They don't with the first time through, but they can.
Right.
But you are proposing, Brent, a free second entree and full meal if they wanted it.
Mhm.
But they'll still have the option for just the entree.
yep.
So second time through the line, you can take what you want,
Mhm.
no additional cost.
Correct. That's what I'm recommending. And again, I think we can monitor it.
If it gets out of control, waste or whatever not, then we just put an end to it.
And you're not worried at all about like ordering wise, like all of a sudden, now they're like doubling not doubling, but like that's not a,
The elementary asks questions. So all the way through 6th grade ask if they're gonna take a second or not.
right, but they ask that day.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, when they order in the kitchen, like, it's not gonna be like a huge increase for them, but they're gonna have to.
I think that's the biggest thing is will be meal prep. I think having enough available for everybody to run 4
Yeah.
lunches, starting with 7th or 8th grade, we'll do 3. C lunch tends to be the one that there's sometimes not enough for, so it's hard to plan how many kids will take it. We still do a second count in high school, but sometimes you go through a line and it smells good and you want another one, or it depends on what you.
See, in elementary, they get tickets, they have to have a ticket.
And I'm not saying we want kids to go back 3 and 4 times. I
Yeah.
think we're saying one time back through the lunch line.
And the elementary still has it with fruit and vegetables, they can go through as many times as they want. That's always been that way this year, so.
It's been that way for, what, 7, 8 years?
Yeah.
Yep. The vast majority of the high school would like more portion size. There's so many kids involved in activities, they want more to eat at lunchtime.
That's controlled.
Yeah.
We don't have
Correct.
too much input on that. Dave, did you have some
Control as far as.
The federal guidelines say you can only put this much food on each kid's plate.
But yeah, you can have seconds.
Mhm.
Is that kind of a good thing, or?
Well, I think this is our workaround, right?
Yeah.
To solve that. Now, again,
That's why it's not.
if you're on the free and reduced lunch, or your family's on a budget, right? You're telling your kid you can only go through X amount of time. We've got almost $500,000 in our fund. Let's try it out and see what happens.
Yeah, I think I'm fine with trying it as long as we monitor it. I think the breakfast is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
The second one to me is just let's monitor
Yeah.
waste.
Breakfast I'm good with, and then the entree and the full meal. Part of me just thinks that, I mean, like, if you're free and reduced, then it's free. But maybe it's just like, I think this is charging too much for it, but if it's $1 or $2 and see how that works. I'm kind of more of a gradual person, I guess, to go from whatever, $3 or $4 to 0. I don't know. I'm just thinking if we just charge a little, I'm okay probably if I get we have the funds and to try that, but to go that and then, oh, it doesn't work and now we're charging. But I'd go along with it, I guess, too. I'd rather have kids eat, so that would be my, kids are hungry and need to eat, that's my.
I would hate to, I should say, it would be nice to allow the kids to eat as much as they want within reason, of course. And not be restricted by their family's budget, whether they're on free and reduced or not. So, Amy, you gave the example.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna try to
That's
pry
okay.
into the family's finances, but
That's
my guess is part of the reason for that is because of the expense of it.
Yeah.
Not only allowing them to eat
Right.
extra entree once a week.
So that's what I'm saying, maybe it's $1 to get that extra instead of $3 or $4.
That second meal was 20,000 last year, right? Is that right?
Mhm.
So even if the meals are tripled and we pay 60,000 out of pocket, plus breakfast, say that goes from 7, if that triples to whatever, if that goes to 21, we're in for 81, we're still only $1,000 over the net gain from last year.
Will this be how Darcy managed it? If there's 4 lunches and everybody takes a second, the first 3 lunches, is there gonna be enough for the 4th lunch there? How does she manage that? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
If it's a popular meal and we get to 4th lunch and there's not enough for one timer. That'd be my.
Well, that happened to me in high school too. I can remember chicken nuggets, mashed potatoes, and gravy. If you were in the long lunch period, by the time you got there, you were lucky to get that meal because it was so popular.
And I think we have to remember, it will happen, but you also have to remember that your male population will take a second meal, your female population in most cases will not. It's just. Well,
I think she knows what the popular meals are, and if she knows that we're gonna be serving seconds, she's gonna plan to order more chicken nuggets or Crispitos or whatever to make sure we've got the entree on those popular meal days. And yeah, there's probably gonna be an adjustment that first quarter of the year where she's gonna feel out. Again, what's really the popular meal?
And I'm okay doing it, I just don't want it to get to that.
Yeah. Yep.
And
Well, we know that we're gonna serve 40 to 50 kids in that final lunch. So how many ever trays of Crispitos in B lunch, they might, or C lunch, they might, we cut off the seconds
Yeah.
for the B and C lunch to make sure that we're gonna have at least the first time through with that entree.
Darcia probably has really good numbers from,
She does.
on what those look like, right? Yeah,
She's been doing it long enough to.
know what the greatest hits are.
And you just named a very popular one, we all know what that one is, so.
Should we give it a try? Okay. Take a motion when you're ready.
So essentially, we're saying yes to all Brent's recommendations.
You wanna increase the meal charges by 10 cents or do you wanna keep them the same?
we'll keep it the same
Yeah, I would
at this
do it.
point in time. I-
Okay.
The only one we have to raise is the adult though. The other ones, we've got flexibility to do what we want with them.
Let's just see where we're at. Yep, fine with that.
Keep the breakfast and lunch at $2.40 and $2.50 for lunch, $1.60 for breakfast.
You're saying
But
continue to
breakfast
charge
would
for
be
breakfast or
free.
free breakfast?
Or no, excuse me, breakfast is gonna be free. I apologize.
Scott, you want to make that motion?
We'll make that motion. Keep it to, I guess, do approve all of Brent's recommendations, but leaving the prices the same as last year.
With free breakfast,
With free breakfast and the free supper.
free second meal.
Yeah.
And then are we addressing the other fees at this time as well?
Yes,
That's my voice. I know, that's.
yep. And those are all,
Those are all the same.
my recommendation, they all stay the same except for substitute teacher.
Yeah.
It'll be exciting news.
I've got it, it's,
I know.
it's got that, Jackie. Well, it's on the bottom of this content, so yep, it's all summarized, yep, we're good.
Just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
We have a second.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and second for the fees for 23 and 24 as discussed and documented.
Yep.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Carried. All right, I believe we are on to item 5, consideration of the annual appointments.
Yes, so again, these are all consistent with what we've had last year. We just tried to clarify the legal counsel resources. So locally, we'll try to use Randy Wagmeister as much as possible. If his schedule is full and he's unable to get to something, I'll use Steve Avery. And then for maybe some specialized things like bonding or unique special education things that might come up that maybe Steve Avery or Randy don't have the expertise, we'll utilize Allers and Cooney. We've used them for bonding in the past. We used Allers and Cooney when we redid the redistricting that happens once every 10 years. We maintained we had to file that with the auditor's office and stuff like that. So that's really the only change, is just identifying those 3 legal resources instead of just Randy solely as the district's legal counsel.
Questions on those? Take a motion when you're ready.
We'll make a motion to approve the annual appointments as listed.
Second?
I have a motion and second to approve the annual appointments as listed. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to item 6, consider open enrollment out and in requests.
Again, we really have very limited authority when it comes to open enrollment due to a law change a year ago. The only reason for denying open enrollment in is due to class size limitations. So again, that's where Mr. Harmon was talking about that first grade. So at this point going forward, if we get a first grade request, we would really scrutinize that to see where we're at and what the needs are.
On an open enrollment. Not
In,
just a, not
In.
just a,
out.
someone new to the district.
Correct. So anybody moving to the district that's physically within our boundaries, they're sending their kids here unless they want to go elsewhere. So the out really, again, it's the receiving districts that are determining yes or no. But I want to be fully transparent with you and the community about our ins and outs when it comes to open enrollment. That's why they're on the agendas.
Take a motion to approve those when you're ready.
I'll make a motion to approve both open enrollment requests.
A motion and second to approve the open enrollment requests as listed. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We'll move on to items 7A and 7B, and we'll take those together. If anybody has any objections on those, taking those together. Okay, Mr. Jordan.
Yeah, Dan Snyder's resignation, his email is included. Did it get attached or not get attached?
Yep. See that?
And then the list of the teacher leadership positions, and I don't know if the principals want to chime in, but some of these positions, we only had one person apply. So in those cases, the principals just met with that person, reviewed the job description, answered any questions that that individual had. Others had multiple applicants for these positions. If we had multiple applicants, we went through an interview process. We had an interview committee. And then that's where these recommendations are coming from. Anything to add, Mr. Harmon or Mr. Engelman?
No.
And then we updated item 2, assistant high school volleyball coach Sarah DeVries is the recommendation from Mr. Cruz. And then Paige Pedley for our high school learner assistant position.
Questions from Mr. Jordan and the principals? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve those resignation and hirings. You ready?
Make a motion to approve the resignation and hirings as listed.
A motion and second to approve the resignation and hirings as listed. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Moving on, item J, announcements, dates to remember. We've got the school board meeting in July. Anything else you'd like to point out, Mr. Trimble?
We postseason baseball and softball between now and when we meet again. I have not seen the softball pairings, but that could be next, the 30th of June. So
Are they out? When do they come out?
this week they come out. And then baseball could be July 3rd, could be their first date. So those aren't out either. We don't know who we're playing yet.
Right? Any other questions on the calendar? Move on to bill review. These need my signature.
You did.
Well, that's a good one. There you go. Yeah. Oh, there. No, so I'll just tell, so this one actually has something to kind of fill out. So I'll just, you can
You
leave
want
it.
this?
Yeah, one-
Reminder?
And then if you can sign those are the July 1st ones. I gave Brady Ellis a stack, so that's your stack. Yep.
I did not understand what it was. It's not even, I think.
I think it's just one spot. Let's see the agreements are enough, but anyways.
Yeah.
It's all bids and I got something else on that.
They're in the folder.
Yeah. You have those over a moment. And you can take care of that. And
Yeah, I'll take care of that.
Yeah.
You just want to do
I'll
them?
do it, but then I have the signatures too. Perfect.
Yeah, I've got the football helmet and it's here, day back, and wants to state the color, the official color of the helmet in public.
Once told you what, did you say?
Official color? The official color. Yes. You and I would not like it, Scott. It's green Bay.
I know something like that. It's Packard yellow. So
It's not in sure.
It's now.
I don't think so. I think it's just, I These are the Dallas. I think when they bought the old helmets, they didn't have a color that, when we went to buy new helmets, they didn't have a color that was going to match old helmets. So we had to go with that.
Assuming how they want copies of these returned. Anything that. Right?
DJ wants to.
It's always been that way, I just can't remember, I'm drawing.
I
Right,
would assume so. Then,
I suppose, no.
No.
Verify this. Action thing. These are signed and 3 copies for both. Thank you. You know, you're the DGR. So they asked me to. So that- Correct, so if I just said, can I send the check? Or should I wait?
That's more.
That's confusing. Well, I'm gonna send a check straight to the contractor. I'll send these back to Kevin. It was a little backwards, that's why. Okay. I wanted to make sure it wasn't losing my mind. Okay. Okay. I was just like, that's not what I've seen in the past, so, okay. Not making a losing my. Which is fine. Thank you. You asked to help and he handed that one?
Not now.
Oh, that's just not even French.
I didn't look at it.
Thank you.
Did anyone talk to you about a laminator?
What?
PTC, did they talk to you about a laminator?
I have sent it on to Mr. George to get back to, I got the voicemail, but
It's fine, I directed them to you, 'cause they wanted to give money, and I was like, I feel like you just need to talk to Deb.
Yep, and I just-
And I said, she'll direct you to who you need.
yeah, and so I didn't get the phone call and
It's on my,
it's on his to-do list.
That's fine,
But, so
talk to me about it.
I do have it, no one's called me back yet.
Yeah, that's.
I just thought, I don't know anything about
Well, they
laminator.
went back and forth, they were gonna buy one, and then like they couldn't all decide on the same thing, and
And I would,
so then we just decided to give money, because then they said they didn't know how to handle like refills and maintenance of it, and then I was like, well, it's probably gonna end up getting put under that insurance.
correct.
So that's like, I think you should just talk
Yeah.
to Jack.
And that wasn't my biggest issue as much as I want to make sure that the admin is okay with that purchase, first of all, because it can get a little
excessive.
excessive, would be the word. And so I know that there's been talk about, so that was handed off to him and then the principals. And I think it's a great idea. We use a lot of laminating, so. What, when, and where,
So where do they go to?
Well, if you're doing, we would prefer that that's sent to the AEA. But teachers laminate stuff just on a regular 11x8. We've got a laminator for,
They're like a small size.
we go through 2,500 laminating sheets a year.
at least. But then it's more than teachers that do that. I mean, I was like,
Coaches,
the football coaches laminate in case it's gonna rain. The track coaches do the same thing. You know, it's a popular item.
Yep.
And if we did our homework on, and a big one also do little regular,
Small.
small size.
Yeah.
That's what we gotta do some homework on.
So if you talk to her, we know.
Well, that's fine. I just told her the other day.
It's on my list.
Stuff to check. No.
I did say that, like, she left a message and no one's gonna call her back, and I was like, there's maybe a lot we gotta
Yeah.
research first, so.
Well, she said it was, I think it was kind of a large discussion at the meeting about
Sure.
what kind to get, because everyone has to opinion and.
Yeah, well, I was like, third it on.
And then I was like, I feel like you should go to.
Because you're exactly right.
Yeah.
It's not the machine that's the issue. It's the maintenance and the supplies.
Right.
What can it do?
Where it's gonna go.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because if it's one large machine, the majority really are your elementary staff that use it, but like he said, but then all your high school, junior high and high school
Yeah.
coaches use it too, although that's down here, so,
Mhm.
yeah. So yes, that was a good recommendation, but like, if she would say something to you, well, I do, you told me, and they haven't got
Yeah, no, that's fine.
There's a reason.
That's good. Perfect. I didn't know if she called you right away and I was
She did.
giving you a heads up.
No, she did last week.
Contacted, so.
And then Mr. Dorf and I haven't had much of a connection over the last week because of his travels, and so, perfect.
Right. Still on camera here.
Yeah, we can't-
To adjourn. Everybody done?
Motion to adjourn?
Second? Motion second to adjourn, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Did you want to pick a date? Amy?
Yeah, let's go.
What works well for you, Dave? Like mornings? Does that work better? Like I could do morning next week probably. But we have baseball in the evenings.
Next week, I'm out until Thursday because I'm going to that conference.
Oh, yes.
So I could do, we're meeting 1:00, Buildings and Grounds on that Thursday. So I could do the morning or I could do, say, after 3:00. Or Friday, if you guys want to do something on Friday.
You're saying the 29th and 30th.
29th and 30th work. I don't know if you guys will be around on the 3rd or the week of the 4th. We're not going anywhere for the 4th, so
I would say not the 5th. We have a board meeting the following on the 10th. It would almost be nice to have our discussion before that.
correct.
So, or some amount of time before that. So I'm kind of leaning toward it would be necessary to do it the 29th or 30th.
Yeah, that's fine.
Did you say the Friday mornings do not work very well for you?
Mornings can work okay for me.
Tell me when. Yep. Sounds good.
So, do you want to have your document to us before then, Brent?
Yep, I'll have it to you by Friday. This Friday. Gives you a week. Get any questions and stuff. Yep.
I sent Jeff a text, I had to get it done. Adjourn.